Twins of Reddit, what's your embarrassing story involving your twin partner? My mom is an identical twin. She and her sister were always dressed alike and hated it, so one year for Halloween my grandpa took my mom costume shopping and my grandma took my aunt. When they got home they were so excited to show each other their costumes. But when they came out of their room they were wearing the same thing. Was going down an escalator at a casino. Look across and see my brother. Get the excites and yell, "Hey bro." Start waving for his attention. Was waving to myself in a mirror. My twin did that at our work. He was walking to his car and looked in the window and saw me walking parallel to him and got excited and waved. He first was confused how I was waving at him at the same time. Then realized it was just a reflection. Haha. My twin brother died in a car wreck and my family suggested that I should date his girlfriend because grief. I guess. We'll duck in awkward. Mom. That's a ducked up thing to say. Sure is. And isn't even the worst thing that was said. This story is so prime and I'm so excited to tell it. I used to do musicals. Like singing, dancing musicals. My brother came to a performance and was at the greeting line afterwards. He goes up to the lead actress in the show and says, "Great job. Congrats." What a show, to which she responds, "Oh, I wasn't in the show, actually it was my twin sister." "But you were fantastic," to which my twin brother says, "I wasn't in the show either." And that's when the actual lead actress and I walk up wondering why they both look so damn confused. I've been laughing about it for years. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Now I can say I've gotten an award for answering wrongly after misreading a prompt. Haha. Gold. Edit. Whoa, gold. For the occasion I can admit, the lead actress and I were having a secret affair. This is actually my friend's story. She went to see a play at a university with her identical twin. His sister said that there was a shortcut to the theater by cutting through some glass building. My friend didn't think that made sense. But her sister seemed confident about it. So she followed along. Then suddenly her sister opens a classroom door and says, "Let's go in here." My friend goes inside. And freaks out when she sees a bunch of paintings of what looks like herself. Completely naked. It turns out her sister had posed nude for an art class. And thought that would be a fun surprise. I fancied a twin in high school and couldn't realize why in one class she spoke to me yet in another didn't know what the duck I was on about. It took me 4 months and just bumping into them both on the walk home and I literally went, "There's two of you." I've done the same thing. Except I thought there was only one. I asked the wrong one out. Got slapped. Then the other one helped me home because she hit my eye. And I kinda faked not being able to see. Dated her for the past 3 years. I'm too young to propose though. In 2 years I'll be ready. I went to a funeral of a friend's father. I had no idea that the deceased had an identical twin. It felt really strange to see the guy in the coffin sat at the front row of the church. My grandpa has a twin brother. And they look nearly identical even now in their late 70s. My mom told me that when I was a toddler we were at a family reunion. Apparently my grandpa was holding me and talking to my parents and then his twin brother walked up to us and my reaction was to say, stunned and wide-eyed, "Two grandpas." I must have been really happy to have not one, but two amazing grandpas to interact with. Edit. Added missing us. I'm not the twin. But I was dating a guy on and off for years, long distance, and eventually came to find out that the guy I had been on and off dating was ducking his twin brother and his twin brother's wife. I couldn't believe it at first. But then a whole lot of things started to make sense. The more I thought about it, I'd been friends with him a solid 15 years. And in that whole time he never really dated anyone but me. But he spent so much time with his twin brother and even more with his twin brother's wife. We're no longer dating. I'm not a twin. But dated one of two twin brothers in high school. The other twin also had a girlfriend at the school. One day, someone in my class pulls me aside to nervously tell me he thinks my boyfriend is cheating on me. He was fairly new at the school and didn't know yet there were twins. It gave us all a good laugh when the story got around and the guy was pretty relieved to hear there was no cheating going on. Dad's friend is a twin. Lives in Chicago. His twin brother lives in Boston. On the same day, both twins fell off a ladder and broke the same leg. Not a twin. But I had a pair of teachers at my middle school who were identical twins. They tended to dress similarly and I spent a lot of time confused as to how they could move around the school so quickly until someone told me there were two of them. And that they were twins. This was right before one of them got pregnant though. So I would have figured it out eventually. There was a ducked up story about the twins in my country. Two baby girls were swapped in hospital. And one twin came back home with other family. Their daughter stayed with her twin sister. Girls were completely different. But the family thought they are just not identical twins. They found out the truth when all three girls were in high schools. The real twins were constantly called differently and strangers would approach them and say hi. They lived in a relatively small town. So finally some common friends organized their meeting. Although they look identical, they are completely different people. Egg. One of them likes metal music and wears black clothes. The story didn't end up well. Although they sued the hospital, both families are devastated by the whole story. I tried to date this girl from class and we were going out on dates and everything, but out of nowhere she stopped talking to me because her friends saw me with another girl, my twin sister, at the movies and thought I was playing her, but they didn't know I have a twin sister. What happened afterwards? Did things end there? Well, I explained that she is my twin and showed her pictures of us growing up and she met her in person, but she said she just couldn't trust me anymore, so yeah, things ended like a month later. Saw my identical male twin naked in high school. His wiener is much larger than mine, no homo, but we even compared them once and his was definitely larger. Any other twins have this problem? My pen 15 is much bigger than my identical twin sister's, even though she's a few years older than me. My identical twin brother, my wife, and myself all went to school together and got jobs at the same place after passing boards. Since there are some rules regarding family working together, I was not hired to the same unit as my wife, but my twin was. It was a lot of fun. Taking lunches together, etc. But there was one social worker who just couldn't grasp that my brother and wife were not the married ones. She'd compliment me on how cute they were together, comment on social media how great a couple they were, even talk about how much my kids take after their dad, referring to him. It's all benign and we laugh about it, but she really laid it on thick. My grandma and her sister were twins. Her sister was going to be a nun, so couldn't be involved in any affairs. Some guy asked the sister out, who sent my grandma in her place, tasked with ending the date poorly. I'd like to say there's a funny ending that the guy is my granddad, but he's not. He's just some random dude. My husband has an identical twin. When my husband and I got engagement photos done, Facebook automatically tagged my husband's brother in a bunch of our photos, and I posted them without realizing. My twin brother went out to pick up some wine and his girlfriend, at the time, came over and thought I was him. She was probably really horny, but without hesitating she began to kiss me and it took me by surprise. To the point where I was frozen in shock. I was about to get her off me, but that was when he walked in. I was with my twin brother at the supermarket this one time, and judging from this story I'm guessing that obviously we look the same from the back, but not exactly the front because I'm a female. My brother's girlfriend was shopping at the same store as us that day and comes up behind me and smacks my bottom saying hey love. Jokingly I turn around and say it back. The look on her face made me regret what I did. I'm not a twin, but I knew some in HS. There were these two identical girls who were your kind of typical slutty experimental girls, and they revealed to me they would practice making out on each other. Additionally, they shared a boyfriend at some point without telling him they were two separate people. But when he found out, he was real upset because if they were lying about that, then what else was going on behind his back? My little brother and sister are twins and both of them have multiple flat spots on their heads, not noticeable through their hair. This is because before they were born they would headbutt each other inside of my mother. The doctor said a lot of the kicking she felt were actually headbutts. I've told this story before but it's even more fitting here. My identical twin sister was dating the president of a fraternity on campus. And during one of the frat's date night events she went with her BF and I was set up as a date for one of his brothers. Towards the end of the night I got separated from my date. And my sister's extremely drunk boyfriend put his arm around me while sis was in the bathroom. BF leaned in to kiss me. Venue was super dark so I think it was an honest mistake. So I backed up to set the record straight. He asked if I was down for a threesome with my own twin sister. I still feel bad for ditching my date but shudder as I had to get out of there ASAP. When I was a baby my dad was supposed to take my brother to a doctor's office because he was sick and he took me instead. My dad realized that it was me and got my brother to the doctor's. Turns out he just had a cough. Basically all of these stories are about identical twins. I'm a guy who has a twin sister and we don't look anything alike. I'm a dead ringer for the guys in my mom's family and both my twin and little sister fave my dad's family. On top of the obvious low effort lolly-ducker twin bullshit, it really has only been a positive for me. I'm pretty awkward and having someone to always talk to and someone around to give me an excuse to start talking to girls etc was always a big plus. We made our own language when we were little and have so many memories. I dated an identical twin back in high school. Her sister had recently broken up with her boyfriend. The ex-boyfriend and his mom were walking through the park and saw my girlfriend and I kissing. Without the slightest display of emotion. She turns to her son and says, so that's why she left you. Not a twin. Dated a twin on and off for a while. In middle school. I would get a call from my boyfriend. We chat for a bit and then he'd have to go so his brother could have his phone time. These were the days before cell phones. Then we'd hang up and I'd get another phone call a minute later. From my boyfriend. Turns out the first call was from his twin brother. Boyfriend would get pissed. He tried that a few more times. Then I learned to tell their voices apart. Edit. Thanks for my first silver. I feel like this should say identical twins. There's not much fraternal twin partner shenanigans. Fraternal twins are twins too. I used to volunteer at an after-school program where there was a pair of young, kindergarten first grade, fraternal twins who looked really similar, but had completely opposite personalities. Somehow the adults never figured out how to tell them apart on site. Even though there was a really strong incentive to do so since one was a total sweetheart and the other would literally bite you. One of my good friends in college. We'll call her Ellie. Has a twin sister. We'll call her sister. Sister had a boyfriend while Ellie was blissfully single. We were all over at sister's place making dinner together and having some beers. Ellie went to grab something out of the fridge. So her back was to the room. Sister's boyfriend walked by. Gave her a casual but firm grab and went on his way to the counter to IDK. Chop something. Ellie gasped and turned around. The room stopped. We all just stared and waited for boyfriend to notice he'd grabbed the wrong twin. You could see the exact moment he realized sister, his girlfriend, was not. In fact, at the refrigerator. She was on the other side of the room. He slowly looked back down at the cutting board. He couldn't even process the shame. He apologized profusely. Ellie was horrified for a second, but after she realized it was an honest mistake, she thought it was funny. He literally could not make eye contact with her for a week. Edit. Spelling. My girlfriend told me about a production of 12th Night that was able cast identical twins for the main role. At one point one of them walked off one side of the stage and the other walked on from the opposite side in a different costume seconds later. Most of the audience just thought they were doing really fast quick changes. In the version they used for the DVD, a guy in the audience near the camera very loudly said "what the duck" when this happened. Not a twin, but my older brother looks like a fatter version of me, or I look like a skinny version of him. Let's call him George and I'll be Biage. The first time we went to visit our father in our old town after our parents' divorce in like 3 years. So we were meeting a lot of people we hadn't for a long time. A lot of people mistook me for him. But the most interesting one was our grandmother. Upon seeing me for the first time, he was outside. Gozo. George. Look at how much you've grown. And you've lost weight. I'm Biage. Oh. I got pranked by my girlfriend. An identical twin. A few months ago. There is no point where a guy is more vulnerable than immediately after orgasm. Everything is just rained. Knowing this, my girlfriend awaited this moment one morning. Immediately after I finished, she looked up at me, took a deep sigh, and said don't tell her name, while mimicking her sister's mannerisms. I freaked the duck out, pulled my receding member out, and flipped out of the bed in what I can only describe as an emotional cluster duck. It was only as I came to my senses that I noticed my girlfriend giggling helplessly. It was then that I knew that I am dating the evil twin. Not embarrassing, but my geography teacher has a twin brother, and when he left a few people without a grade, meaning they had to take summer exams, a few of the kids gathered and broke his twin brother's nose and gave him a black eye. They were pretty surprised to see him the next day without a scratch. Slightly off topic. I knew some identical twins who were both in the trades. One a plumber and the other an electrician. Once in a while they'd end up on the same job site. They would steal each other's work shirts, wait for a foreman to tell one of them to complete a task, then duck you I'm not doing that and walk away. Loved working with those two. They were a good time.